Hi, I'm Robert Middleton of Action Plan Marketing here in the Santa Cruz Redwoods. Welcome to my masterclass on how to get a meeting with almost anyone. It's the pathway to attracting more great clients to your professional service business. Enjoy the masterclass, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so here we go. How to get a meeting with almost anyone. Not everyone, almost everyone. So we all want to attract more great clients to our professional service business. I assume so, or you wouldn't be here. We don't want to just make more money. We want to attract great clients that we love to work with, that we can make a difference with, that we can ply our trade of consulting, coaching, training, or whatever it is we do. If we're not working with clients, we're often not happy. So this is what I've been working with people for 38 years now. So, but where do we start with this whole process? What do we need to do? What works and what doesn't work? This has been, what I've studied and worked on for so long. This works, this doesn't work. And times change and technology changes and marketing changes. And this presentation is what I found works for my clients now and works for me right now. And can we do it without expensive and time-consuming marketing? You can put a lot of money into marketing, and I've discovered that most of the money you put into marketing is usually not well spent if you're a self-employed professional. I've seen people spend tens of thousands and have it not get them clients, and we don't want that. So, and how about without social media? Now, fine if you use social media. I don't use social media for marketing at all anymore. I find it's been a complete waste of time. So you can put your time and effort into other things. If you want to do it, fine, but you don't have to. And of course, without sleazy selling techniques, the thing we're all allergic to, right? We just hate that selling kind of thing. I was in Mexico for my vacation this year, and I was in a restaurant, and I ended up talking to these people. It was this older couple, really sweet, nice people. And she asked what I did. And so I said, what I do is I help small businesses attract more clients. And she said, oh, that's just what I need. But I just hate that marketing stuff. It just makes me feel weird. And, just out of nowhere. So people hate feeling sleazy and being sleazy. They want to be authentic and real. So that's necessary, I think. And without manipulation, not trying to trick people or use these weird closing techniques and stuff like that. I hate that stuff. Everybody hates that stuff. So, well, yes, you can do this. It's possible. I've learned how to do it and taught a lot of people to do it. So I've been working with self-employed professionals for 38 years. Started in 1984 when I lived in San Francisco. Over the years, I've tried just about everything to attract great clients. I've done advertising. I've done social media. I've done mass direct mail. I've done speaking. I've done following up and calling people and talking people, which I do a lot now, et cetera, et cetera. I've done about everything. And I've discovered what really does work the best. The truth is, most marketing activities are a complete waste of time and money. And most marketing approaches are geared to bigger companies. Well, let's do the kind of things that big companies do. And these days, online marketing is so crowded that it's almost impossible to get attention and response just being online. When I started my website, there were 250,000 websites, 250,000. Now there are more than 2 billion, which if you do the math, it's 8,000 times as many websites as there was 25 years ago. So it's really hard to get positioning on Google and get people to find your site. I used to get a ton of business that way, but I don't anymore. I'm just one in a crowd of many. And I was one of the few people doing this work 25 years ago, and now I have thousands of competitors. So it's a lot harder. Here's the deal. Most marketing is passive marketing. That is, put out a lot of information and wait for a response. I have my website and I'm really active on social media and I do a blog and I do podcast, a lot of information. but it's passive in that I put it out there and I'm waiting for people to call me. Now, if they do, it's great. Or if you get referrals, it's great, but it's harder and harder these days. So what does work? Proactive marketing. So proactive marketing is getting out there and engaging with prospective clients, speaking with, having conversations with prospective clients. But this can't be a random process. It needs to be organized. You know, sometimes people talk to you, you meet someone I was just talking to someone before this call that they met someone on the beach and had a great conversation with them, and it turned into a business opportunity. That does happen. So there are 6 main steps to this organized approach to proactive marketing. There's more than 6 things that you can do, but 6 steps in this step-by-step process that I find are absolutely essential. So 1 is to develop a powerful marketing message. 2 is develop persuasive marketing materials, the right kind of marketing materials that people read and they get what you do. Number 3, start reaching out to your network, connecting with your network. Number 4, conduct connection meetings. The more, the better. Number 5, and then conduct in-depth strategy sessions, also known as the selling process or the enrollment process. So one thing people get confused about, initial conversations have nothing to do with selling. They have to do with connecting and discovering opportunities, as we'll get into. But once someone says, I think I might be interested in what you do, then you have a meeting that takes 45 minutes to an hour, and that's a strategy session. And in that meeting, someone goes to being a prospective client to a paying client. And finally, asking for the business. Often we forget to do that. It's the simplest part of the process, by the way. Some people are really nervous about closing. Not hard at all if you've done everything else right. So there's 3 parts to each of these 6 steps: goals, required actions, and expected outcomes. So I'm going to go through quickly with all these 6 steps and 3 parts to each steps, just so you really get a sense of everything that happens in this process. So first, marketing messages. So the goal of messages is to develop a marketing message that verbally communicates your value. Something I say all the time is the purpose of marketing is communicating value. Well, you can't communicate it without a good message. And so that's absolutely essential. I know people have been in business for 20 years and they still struggle with this. You got to nail it down. It's not that hard. It can take some time. It takes some testing, but that's what you need. That's the goal. And the actions to do that, first of all, you have to define who exactly are your ideal clients. Sometimes that takes a while. Maybe you know already. And then articulate your key client outcome or outcomes. I call it the ultimate outcome. And I'll give you an example of this later. So this is how I help my clients. And then also be very, very clear on the key client issues or problems. What are the 3 or 4 things that are problems for your clients? So it's a sort of a double-edged thing. These are the outcomes I help you with, but here are the problems my clients have. Those are the things that actually get attention, and people are not good at articulating these. And then the outcomes, when you communicate your message well, prospective clients want to know more. This is key to understand. When you communicate your message well, they don't jump up and down and throw money at you, but they want to know more. Tell me more. So if after articulating your marketing message and your prospect doesn't want to know more, either the prospect is not qualified, they're not the right person to talk to, which is fine, or you have a poor marketing message. But if you're talking to a qualified prospective client and you say your message and you get a blank look, you have a poor message. It's just like that lady in Mexico that had immediately clicked with her. She really was interested because I talked about this is how I help people, and this is the problem. It's very simple once you get it. Next is marketing materials. And there's a lot of different kinds of marketing materials. We really focus on one. So the materials goals: develop written materials that communicate the value and structure of your services. So it's also the benefits and features of your services. I like the value and structure. It's like, this is what I do. This is how I help people. And this is how I do it. That's the structure. You know, we meet, we do this, we cover these things, so that people really have a good grasp of how you help them and what it looks like. And again, a lot of people don't have very good written materials. They read the materials and look up and say, well, what is it you do? I've seen that happen. Materials actions. The first thing you do is you develop a list of key prospect questions. These are the questions that a prospect, a potential client, would have about your business. Things like, who do you work with? What kind of results do you produce? How does your service work? Things like that. Now, I've come up with typically 10 to 12 questions that almost any client is interested in. You start with the most important ones, and then you get down into the least important sort of logistical things later. So what are those key prospect questions? And then what you do in your marketing materials is, one by one, you answer those questions. So you say, what is the purpose of my service? My purpose of my service is to help self-employed professionals attract more of their ideal clients. So it's very, if you use those questions to guide you, it's really easy to write really powerful marketing materials. So you answer each of those questions. So who are the people that work with me and that I help? Well, I work with self-employed independent professionals who are struggling with their marketing and want to be more effective at getting clients. And then you go from there, you know, the next thing, the next question they have, and the next question, until you've answered all those questions. And then you rewrite it 27 times and fine tune it, and you have what I call a services information page. It's the most powerful, most effective, most necessary piece of marketing material that I've ever had in my business, and nobody has it. We have this here and that here, and nobody really understands, oh, that's exactly what you do. Remember, marketing is communicating your value. So I let my services information page do the heavy lifting in my marketing. Someone is interested, wants to talk to me, I send them to my services information page. And then when I talk to them later to see if they're a good client for me, then they don't have as many questions because I've answered all the questions. It's as simple and as powerful as that. And then you take that page and you format it on a web page. So what's the outcomes of good materials? When you communicate your value clearly in writing, prospects become more open to exploring possibilities with you. They don't know much about what you do. They're kind of gun shy about that. It's easier for them to read your materials in private and just at their own rate dig into what you have. And if they're interested, they'll be more interested in exploring. It's as simple as that. So if after reading your marketing materials, prospects don't want to explore possibilities, either the prospects are not qualified, again, or you have poor marketing materials. So back to the drawing board. I have rewritten my marketing materials more times than I can remember, until they finally communicate what I want to communicate clearly. Next is marketing outreach, which is what we'll really get into more in depth as we go here. So the goals for that: make connections with prospects and those in your network to share what you are currently offering, to let people know what you're up to. I'm not going to give you much depth on this because this is the thing we're going to go a lot of depth later. The outreach actions is you compile a list of prospects and networking contacts, everybody and anyone you have some connection with in business, and use simple emails to invite them to meet with you. It's that simple and that difficult. And the outreach outcomes is the ability to gain more meetings, more conversations, more possibilities, a stronger network, and more qualified prospects. If you have more conversations, that's what happens, and you move towards getting more clients more quickly. If you're not getting meetings with prospective clients, you need to improve, test, and refine both your list of contacts and your email invites. Also, You have to be reaching out probably more than you are. I've had people say, oh, I reached out to so many people last month. How many people? 3 people. And then I laugh hysterically and say, you ought to be reaching out to 3 people a day. And don't kidding, at least 3 people a week. Want to get more meetings? You have to reach out and connect and ask more people to meet with you. So then you get the meetings. So the goals for these meetings is to determine if your connection is a prospective client or a source for ideas, resources, and connections. This is, well, I'll get into this more in detail as we go. This is so important. It's not, oh, I don't have any prospective clients to call. There's a zillion other people you can call and have conversations with. So the actions are share your ultimate outcome and the 3 key client issues that I mentioned earlier on in your message. Do they need help, or do they have an idea, resource, or connection for you? That's how you know you've had a productive meeting. You're not just rambling on about your business and I'm doing this and that. Do they need your help, or can they help you in some way? And the outcomes of this, of getting meetings, is the ability to generate qualified prospects, more ideas, more resources and connections, and set up the strategy sessions or the selling conversation. You should never try to ever sell in a connection meeting. You can inform, you can let people know what you're up to, but you're not getting into explaining all about what you do and how you do it. This is really, really important. You waste a lot of time that way. Okay, so if you're unable to set up strategy sessions from your initial connection meetings, you need to better qualify your prospective clients. If you're talking to people that can't move you forward, those are not the people you should be talking to. And almost anybody in business can move you forward in some way if you structure the conversation well. So the strategy sessions themselves, the goals for those is meet and explore possibilities with a prospective client who are interested in results and are open to taking action. So in your conversation, someone says, yeah, that really is an issue for me. And I say, well, tell me more. Well, I can't seem to get meetings, or I'm not good at closing, or I don't have a good net, whatever the marketing problem is. And I'd say, is this worth a deeper conversation? So I've explored some possibilities initially, but I need a longer time, 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes longer, to meet. And I want to meet with people who are really interested in results and are open to taking action. If they're not, I'm not going to press them for a meeting. I'm not going to manipulate them into meeting with me. I'm just going to ask, is this something worth exploring more? And people will usually say, if they were interested, yeah, definitely. I like what you're saying here. Strategy session actions, you have to learn how to conduct effective strategy sessions. They're easier than you think. Ask questions, and there's 3 kinds of questions. Answer their questions, present your services, and sometimes that's simply in answering the questions, and then make an offer. Well, here is my service. This is what I have available. Are you interested? The outcomes of strategy sessions is the ability to explore with a prospective client and discover if you can help them achieve their goals. If you, at the end of a conversation, don't feel you can help them achieve their goals, you shouldn't close. That doesn't make sense. But if you really feel you can, and they're interested in what you have, you want to get to that place. If you can never get to that place and you really don't know if you can help them or not, you haven't had a successful strategy session. So finally, if prospective clients are not choosing to work with you, you must slow down the process and either ask more questions and answer more of their questions. The selling process is a matter of questions going back and forth, not pitching. So closing the sale, again, the easiest part. Have the prospective client agree to work with you and get paid. If they do that, you're closing well. The actions are learn how to ask closing questions and also how to answer questions and objections. And then finalize the working agreement. And closing outcomes is the ability to turn strategy sessions into new paying clients who are excited to start working with you. You haven't done the job if they're not excited. They should really be excited to work with you without you providing artificial excitement. You're pulling it out of them. What do you want? Where do you want to go? What are your goals? Here's what we can do to help you. So that's the complete process. If you're not closing consistently, you need to rehearse your closing questions and a lot of other subtle things. So master and implement these 6 steps, and you'll attract all the clients you need and want. So, and I'm going to give you some of the heart of the matter things that really get you to that process. So that gives you a big overview of the complete process for attracting clients. So in this masterclass, we're going to focus on just 2 of those steps in the process: getting more meetings and having more conversations and having more successful conversations. So why are meetings so important? Meetings and conversations move things forward in your business better than anything else. It's the magic key. If you have great conversations, people that are good at this, that easily get conversations, they're always more successful at getting business, almost always. Meetings can give you all of the following and more. You get to inform people of what you're up to. Share an idea and get feedback. I do a lot of meetings for this purpose. I'm doing this thing. What are some of your ideas? It helps me improve my service, my program. Get a new resource or connection. Maybe the person you talk to is not a potential client, but they'll know somebody, or they'll know a company, or they'll know a place you can speak, or a book you can read, or something. You can always come away with something valuable out of one of these conversations. Deepen a business relationship. I have a few people in business over the years that I call every once in a while just to catch up. How are you doing? I share ideas with them. You can't have a million relationships like that, but you can have several, and you ought to be talking to these people. Those are my favorite meetings, just, because we joke around, we have fun, we talk about our latest great thing we're coming up with, we share ideas, that kind of thing. Or ask for a quick favor. Hey, I got a quick favor for you, whatever it is. Use your network as a resource. And of course, finally, see if someone is actually interested in your service. A certain percentage of people might go, yeah, I want to know more about that. Tell me more about that. How does that work? Or I'm not interested, but I know someone else. The purpose of these meetings is not to sell your services. This is important because people hate selling. I call selling the worst word in the English language. Everybody hates selling. It's not the purpose. The purpose of meetings is to lead you to new prospects, lead you to new potential clients, open doors for you. But you have 2 big challenges when it comes to meetings. I am guessing for you. 1, how to get the meetings and what to say in the meetings. And because many of us are bad at these 2 things, we don't have enough meetings. And we resist getting them. We don't reach out. Look, if somebody calls us, we're great. I hear you do this. And you say, yes, I'm happy to tell you about it. And they were referred by a friend. And, it is much more likely to turn into a client, right? But if we can connect with more people, we're going to get more clients. So part 1, 3 simple steps to get more meetings. Part 2 will be the steps to conducting the calls. So the first step, assemble a list of everyone in your network. Sometimes people have a list, they have an email list, but there's a lot more than your email list. So here's the big list. First of all your past clients, anyone you've ever worked with that you did good work for and you had a good relationship with. Just connecting with those people often turns into new work. It's often the fastest way to go. Anybody who's a networking contact, they belong to the Chamber of Commerce, or you met them at a wherever, anybody in your network, virtual or in-person network. People that have attended presentations, maybe you have a list of those still. I can go back to the records that I have, and I can dig up hundreds and hundreds of names of people that have attended presentations. They know you, they like you, they trust you. Organization members. This is one that nobody does. It's really very easy. I got a lot of clients this way when I started my business in San Francisco. I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I called chamber members from the directory and said, you don't know me, but I'm a Chamber of Commerce member, and I wanted to introduce myself. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And some of those turned into meetings, many turned into clients, just because they belong to the same organization. And those on your email list, if you have a newsletter, look, people have a newsletter and they send it out on a regular basis, but they never talk to people in the newsletter. If you reach out to people in your newsletter, so I made a lot of money from my people on my email list, reaching out, doing programs, doing intros like this, getting conversations. An email list was the big key in my business, the big key. Because those people on the list, if they're sticking to the list, they like you and know you to some degree. And finally, LinkedIn connections. And there are other connections as well. But anybody and anyone that has some connection with you in business. Second step is you've got to come up with a purpose for each meeting and a reason for reaching out to that person. And this, people get stuck in this. Well, I know all these people, but I feel awkward of reaching out. And what am I going to say? What is the purpose? Well, the most important purpose is let people know what you are up to. That has to be a part of every conversation, or almost every conversation. Let people know what you're up to without selling, informing. That leads to everything else. Because if they don't know what you do, how can they ever do business with you or refer anybody to you, right? So here's an important thing that you should probably tattoo to your body. Nobody is thinking about you. And they have no clue what you're up to in your business for the most part. They're just not. Even me, there's always new people that don't know what I do. And even if they read my newsletter once or twice a month, they don't know everything I'm up to. They don't read everything I send. If I connected with every subscriber I have, they say, I think you sort of do some kind of marketing consulting, but I don't know what it consists of. And this is true for just about everybody. We cannot over communicate enough about what we do, because there's a lot of messages out there, tens of thousands of them. How many emails do you get a day? 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, and all of them are marketing messages, right? Okay, so the third is write a simple email asking for a meeting. Now we're getting to the climax of this. So I'm going to break it down to 4 simple sentences that you can alter a little bit for every email that you send out. Here's a really good opening line for an email. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking of you. Hey, I was just doing this and I thought about you. Even if you just thought about them for a second. Have you ever done that? You thought about someone and then you call them or you send them an email? Well, when you're starting to do this intentionally, you've got a lot of names, you're looking over the list and you go, oh, that guy. I haven't talked to that person in a long time. So it's genuine, it's true. I've been thinking about you. You were thinking about them. And then your purpose. So here's 5 possible purposes, and you have to craft this for your potential client. I have a question about X, or just I've been thinking about you, and what are you up to these days? We haven't talked in about a year. Or can I get your feedback on something? People love when other people ask them for feedback, because that makes you look good, makes you look important, makes you look valuable, right? When I ask people for feedback, they get back to me almost immediately. Or this is similar, the 4th one. Can I run an idea by you? I really appreciate your input. You know, I have a guy that was in my last course, and we've really developed a bond. He's a really smart business guy, and I run ideas by him all the time. And he says, hey, no problem. He loves to share his ideas. He loves to talk. So I run, what do you think about this? He says, and then he holds forth and gives me a lot of good ideas. Or I want to introduce myself. You know, nobody does this. It's so easy to do. You know, you join a professional group, you join the Chamber of Commerce, and you call people on the phone or email. You said, hey, I'm also a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I just joined. I just want to introduce myself. I want to know the businesses in the community, what they do, how I can help them, and just let you know what I'm doing. When's the time we could meet? No one's going to hang up with you because you have that connection, that link through the Chamber of Commerce. All of these people you have some kind of a relationship or connection to, and it doesn't have to be a strong relationship. It really doesn't. Sometimes a weak relationship works really well. They have some connection. Like, you know, someone that's been on my list for a long time, but they've never talked to me. Easy to get a meeting with people like that, really easy. So you have a purpose, and that's in your email. And then you ask for the meeting. Hey, got a few minutes for Zoom, or some time open next week, or have time for a quick chat, or are you free tomorrow? Got 15 minutes later today? That's what I do with my friend Patrick, that I talk to more often, my best friend and business compatriot. He's been my client. I've been his client. I said, I got to talk to you today. Got some time this evening? So, and then finally, final sentence, let me know, and then add your Zoom link or phone. I almost always, these days, pretty much exclusively talk to people in Zoom. I like face-to-face. I don't like the phone that much. Phone is fine if you like it. You know, nowadays we can use FaceTime and Viber. We can do all of these kind of things. So that's it. So it's simple, it's short, it's fast and easy. So here is a sample. Hey, John, I've been thinking about you. Can I get your quick feedback on something? Got time for a quick chat? Let me know. Here's my Zoom. Cheers, Robert. Now, I give this to people in my courses. This is exactly what we cover. And then what happens is, well, I want you to write it and give it back to me. And they send me a 4-paragraph email. And I say, no, I'm not kidding. 4 sentences. I've been thinking about you. Here's the purpose. Got some time. Let me know. Here's my Zoom. You know, I wrote about this last week. I called it transparent persuasion. It's just so simple. You're just asking for what you want. There's no hidden agenda here. There really is no hidden agenda. Because you're not going to go into a quick sales pitch, but you might say, with this quick feedback, you say, look, I'm working on a letter about my new services. And you've given me feedback on this before, and I wonder if you'd be willing to give me some feedback on it. And just your reaction to it, what I'm saying, is there anything missing? Anything sound kind of off to you? So that might be something I want feedback on. Well, the thing about that, he gets to read my sales letter, knows more about what I do, and then I might have a quick chat about that, and that would be an opportunity for a resource, a connection, an idea, and he just might be interested. You never know. Okay, so it's time for action. So we're going to do an exercise where you write the email right now. So think of a person. So I want you to think of a person right now, the person that just popped into your mind that needs to know a little bit more about what you're doing now, but you have a solid relationship to this person. This isn't a hard one. This isn't a stranger. It's not a member of the Chamber of Commerce. It's someone you know. It's a past client, someone like that. So back here in the Redwoods, I really want you to stop right now and write that email. So many times we go through a course and they say to do something and you don't do it, and you say do it later, and then you never do it. It's a complete waste of time. You can write this email in a couple minutes. So stop watching the video right now, go to your email or a Word document or whatever, and write it out. Say it out loud. You want to sound simple and conversational, and really try to keep it to 4, maybe 5 lines. Really, really, really simple, with the intention of getting a meeting with that person. Then after that, don't send it yet, because you want to study the next part, is what to say in that meeting. You really want to be prepared for that meeting before you send the email. Okay, so that's it. Stop now and then come back when you've got the email done. Okay. So part 2, what to say in your meetings to move things forward. So here's the intro. So I wanted to talk to you because, and you say the same purpose that you gave. I wanted to talk to you because I wanted to catch up with you about this, or I'm a new member of the Chamber of Commerce, or whatever it is. Hey, so thanks for taking the call, or thanks for responding. The more you know them, you'll talk about triviality. I talked to a potential client today that was in my last course, and we talked for the first 5 minutes about flowers, marigolds, in fact. So who knows what you're going to talk about to begin with. So I want to talk to you because of such and such. Then your message, simply communicate your ultimate outcome message. If you want to share a little bit about, I wanted to let you know a little bit of what I'm up to today. So this is the context of this conversation. So what I'm doing, this is what I'm communicating to people, is I help self-employed professionals attract more of their ideal clients. And I wanted to get your input on that, wherever it goes from there. And here's a tricky thing that I learned this last year that's really powerful, which is the 3 client issues. And the person that taught it to me, Mark Thompson, called it the treble hook. 3 is treble, hook. Hook gets their attention. And so that's the thing I do, help self-employed professionals attract more of their ideal clients. And my service is for people that have one or more of these issues, or people that have conversations with me find the conversation is valuable if they have one or more of these 3 issues. And the first is self-employed professionals who are having a hard time getting the attention of prospective clients. Number 2 is they're not getting enough meetings with those potential clients, so they can't really move anything forward. And the final one is they're getting sales meetings, but they're not closing enough projects or enough deals or enough sales. So, I talked about this in the earlier part, these 3 things, but this is the basic format of it. You want to really think, what are those 3 issues that your ideal clients have? And you want to let everybody in your world know what those are. Because if I talk about the ultimate outcome, that's one thing. But when I talk about the problems they're having, then they really understand. See, I used to say, this was my brilliant marketing message when I started my business. I'm a small business consultant. That doesn't say anything, right? So then it was, I help people with their marketing and help self-employed people with their marketing. But then I talk about they have these issues. And one of those issues will often get people's attention. So you've got to narrow it down. Often we speak about a million things and it's like it's too much. Narrow it down to 2, 3, or 4 things at the most. Here are the issues that my ideal clients have, or people find it's a valuable conversation to have if they have one or more of these 3 issues, 1, 2, 3. And then you say, can you relate to any of those, or any of those issues for you? Or do you happen to know anyone in your network? This is where the networking thing comes up. Do you happen to know anyone in your network that talks about any of those issues? And if they don't have anybody, well, they're not really prospective. You talk a little more, et cetera, or you ask them what they're up to and what they're doing. Sometimes it's a back and forth, depending on the conversation. The thing about these conversations is there's a lot of different shades. There's a lot of different possibilities. But the heart of it is you want to make sure you let people know what you're up to. If you have a big, long conversation, they never understand what you do, it's a waste of time. Now, you might say, hey, tell me what you do. Say it's a Chamber of Commerce thing. So when you get a meeting with them, you say, tell me what you do. How long have you been doing it? How is it working for you? Or you could say, look, why don't we do this? Why don't you tell me what you do and take a few minutes, and I'll tell you what I do, and then we can see where the conversation goes. That's not hard to do. People, when you're trying to introduce yourself to someone in an organization or someone that you've met or whatever. most people don't, they fail to structure the conversation. And you can make this sound very conversational. It doesn't sound like it's structured. That's the art of it. And the way you get good at it is you have a lot of these conversations. And you have a lot of the, it's good in the beginning to have a lot of these conversations with people say, I just want to practice my message with you and you can practice yours with me. And then you do it. Just to get the practice, a past client, a close friend, someone you have an association with. So are they interested? You don't ask if they're qualified, but you're trying to understand if they're interested. So you say, so are any of these issues true for you right now? Or which of these, or any of, or as Mark Thompson says, are any of those issues on your radar right now? There's a lot of ways to ask this, lots and lots of ways. Are any of these issues on your radar right now? Indeed, are any of these things bugging you right now? Any of these things keeping you up at night? You know, depending on the relationship and the context of the conversation. So if you know the person is not a potential client, but you're looking for connections, you can ask things like this. Do you happen to know anyone who may have one or more of those issues when it comes to attracting clients? So you have a sentence like that. So if they seem qualified, you know, do they have the issue? If they're not really qualified, does anyone else have the issue? Do you have a resource, an idea, or connection that would lead me to people that have these issues? Okay, we're back in the redwoods to wrap it up. So I've covered the 6 main activities or steps in attracting clients, from getting your messages and your materials to reaching out and getting meetings to the selling process and to closing the business. And then we zeroed in on those emails to get meetings, the thing that everybody resists and doesn't do and forgets to do and doesn't want to do. So I've hopefully I've broken it down to make it simple for you. It really is simpler than you think it is. And then that conversation. And the next thing you want to do after you've written your email is script out the conversation. Now, not exactly, but what your opening is. What are you going to say? Hey, you know, I called because of this, or I was thinking of that. And then some way to ease into talking about what you do at some point in the conversation. There might be some other more informal things, or, you know, I'm doing a new project and I'm doing this, or, you know, whatever the situation is. It really depends on who you're talking, what you're talking to, what your relationship is to that person, and how you think they can help you or how you can help them. But ultimately, you've got to talk about your ultimate outcome, what you do, and those 3 or 4 issues at most that people might be having to need your services. And, you know, I suggest finding a friend and hooking up with them and having conversations like this and getting good at it. And after a while, these conversations really become fun and it does move things forward. You know, it's great if you're talking to someone like a past client and they say, well, what are you up to these days? And you say, well, I'm really focusing on this and I'm doing this. And the issues are this, or any of those things on your radar right now? And they say, yeah, well, I really want to know more about that because so-and-so. And then you say, well, what I suggest we do is set up another time to talk about that in more depth. The thing that you don't want to do with these short meetings is go into the selling conversation. You know, you have to set aside a time for your strategy session in which you ask them a lot of questions and find out about their needs and tell them about what you do and answer their questions, that kind of thing. So putting this all together is rather simple, but it can be kind of overwhelming. It can be kind of hard and you haven't done before. We shy away from it. We just don't do it. I've told a lot of people to do this and I haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't know what to say. So I coach them through it and I support them to get it done. So you might have noticed on the page below, I have my sales information page or my services information page for my upcoming program, Getting Out There, The Joy of Attracting Great Clients. And that's the program that really teaches this in depth. And it's not just about the information. You've got the basic information. It's practicing it. It's getting feedback. It's being held accountable to reaching out. Instead of getting 3 meetings a month, you get several meetings a month. We had someone in one of our class in a 3-month period got 100 meetings using this approach and really moved things forward in his business. So if you think that you need a little help with that, you need some support, you need some accountability, you need some ideas, you need to talk to other people, you need to pair up with people and practice and get good at this. It's not complicated. It is not rocket science, but it takes some time to nail it down, to practice it, and really start to feel comfortable about it. And that sometimes takes 1 or 2 or 3 months. So read about the program below. And then if you think, yeah, I might be interested in this, then set up a meeting with me. There's a little form to set an appointment with me. Okay. Just send it out, set up a time. We'll have a conversation, and I will not pressure you. I will not hard sell you. I'll just do exactly what I said. I'll say, tell me about your business. How long have you been in your business? What are you doing? How is your marketing working? How are you attracting clients? What is or is not working for you? Tell me what's going on. Why are you interested in this program? And then I'll say, what are your challenges and what's not working for you? And what do you want to work better? And I'll say, what are your goals and what do you want to achieve? And so I want to get a sense, first of all, if I can help you or not, and I can only do that if I ask you questions, right? And at the end of that, I'll say either I can help you or I can't. And then I'll say, look, you've read this information on this page, so you have an idea what the program is and what it consists of and how it works. What other questions do you have? Anything that you have. And people have usually a few specific questions. Does this work this way, or will we be able to cover this? And if I do this, is it appropriate? And I'll just answer those questions honestly in a very straightforward way. And at the end, after you've got all your questions answered, we'll see if it's right for you or not. I'll say, you think it's right? If not, fine. If it is, great. That's how I do it. And then we'll talk about the price. And the price is not high. It's one of the lowest fees I've charged for this program. I've structured it so I can make decent money by charging lower fees, which is great. So if you're interested in that, just read the letter below, fill out the form, and we'll talk. I look forward to speaking with you. And if not, practice as much as you can that you learn from this masterclass. And I wish you luck in attracting great clients and making a big difference in your professional service. Thanks for listening.